Hello everyone. In Dr. Tracy's presentation, we learned of a number of external academic institutions that are driving changes in medical education. In this presentation, we're going to focus on a couple of other transformations that are driving change, and one of those, importantly, is generations. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to define what we mean by a generation and describe some of the defining moments for those generations. You should be able to describe the two transformations behind the paradigm shift in education. And finally, you should be able to list 4 steps we can take to facilitate change in medical education. A generation can be defined as a group of people born within a particular time frame who share a common context of experiences. A generation can be defined as a group of people born within a particular time frame who share a common context of experiences. Which generation are you a member of? The traditionals, baby boomers, Generation X, or Generation Y? The traditionals the generation is characterized by several very critical events in U.S. history, including World War I, World War II, and the Depression. The baby boomer generation is characterized by experience such as the end of World War II, the beginning of the Vietnam War, the first humans were put into space by the USSR, John F. Kennedy was assassinated, the women's rights movements was begun, and importantly, television. For my lifetime, television has always been available, since I'm one of the members of the baby boomer generation. The Generation X group they were characterized or called the latchkey kids. One of the important things that characterizes their generation is the disease AIDS. Importantly, during this generation, there was an explosion in technology. Cable TV became more prevalent, satellite televisions, PCs, fax machines, and pagers all became more prevalent during this generation, and importantly, cell phones. But what characterizes Generation Y? What sets them apart from the rest of the generations of some of the things that we've talked about? Some things that occurred during this generation include the Space Shuttle Challenger accident. The term surfing the internet was coined. Dolly was cloned in 1996, and the 9/11 occurred. But what characterizes this generation most importantly is the fact that technology has always been available to them, just like television has always been available to me as a baby boomer. And this is evident if you watch the 3 YouTube videos that were recommended in the introductory audio cast that was provided with this particular lecture set. So there's 2 major transformations that are driving the paradigm change in education today. The first of these we've already alluded to, and that is the students are different. The students are referred to by an article by Mark Prensky in 2001 as digital natives. They've always had the internet, and they've become very adept at using the digital technologies that have become available during this generation. Additionally, the web is different. The web 1.0, which is the web that most of us learned how to use, was another means of providing information. It was the content that was there was usually prepared by an expert and posted for the rest of us to go and find and use. Not much more different than using a textbook. The Web 2.0, which the term was coined in 2005 by the O'Reilly Media Group, is very different. It's more interactive. It's designed to be more collaborative. The programmers who are working with Web 2.0 have made it such that it's easy to collect and interact with many sources and actually put something together that is new and made available for the rest of the world to take a look at. So with all these different, the Web 2.0 technologies that are available, and the fact that the students are different as well, they're digital natives, There's some things we have to think about doing differently that somewhat align with the suggestions that are made by academic institutions, as was suggested in Dr. Jerry Tracy's presentation. So what are some of the things we can do to think about as we go forward to talk about changing education? If you don't remember anything else from this presentation, importantly, leave the lectern. So in order to focus the students, we have to be willing to abandon our old system in which we deliver the same lectures to all the students. We have to step off the stage and start listening and conversing with our students rather than just lecturing. We have to abandon this broadcast style and adopt a more interactive one. We have to talk with our students. Secondly, we need to encourage the students to discover for themselves. And we want them to learn a process of discovery and critical thinking rather than just memorizing the information that we provide them. Thirdly, we want to encourage the students to collaborate, not only among themselves, but also with others outside of the school. And this is important in terms of the new culture of medicine, as Dr. Tracy talked about in his presentation. In medicine now is becoming more collaborative, not only among physicians, but with other allied health professionals. And students have to be able to work together with themselves and these other groups. And the one way we can do that, to foster that, is to encourage them to collaborate. And a lot of the Web 2.0 technologies are designed to help students do that exactly. And finally, and this is the hard one to deal with, and that is we have to think about individualizing our students' learning to their individual learning styles. There's a book that was published in 2009 by Clayton Christensen entitled Disrupting Education. And in that book, he focuses on a discussion about how the computer technologies and software can be used to individualize student learning. And I refer you to that book as an excellent discussion on how we should be thinking about individualizing our students' learning. In about 1963, Eric Hoffer, a philosopher, said, "In a time of drastic change, it is the learners who inherit the future. The learned usually find themselves equipped to live in a world that no longer exists." What we want to be, the physicians in general are learners. They're constantly having to learn something new in order to apply it to their practice. So in terms of this comment, the learners are all of us. We need to be considering ourselves learners as our students are, and we need to collaborate with them and work with them. I know there's a lot of things I can learn from the students in my class with respect to some of the Web 2.0 technologies, and similarly they have a lot to learn from us. So what we need to begin to think about creating is an environment or a culture of learners. So in this presentation, we discussed what we mean by a generation and discussed how generational differences as well as the internet are driving a paradigm shift in education. And finally, we talked about four things to think about in terms of changing medical education. And again, I remind you the last thing, if you don't remember anything else from this presentation when you're dealing with our medical students, leave the lectern.